Why, hello there. Did you know that climate change is affecting our whole world? Well, it is. But what is climate change anyway? Well, the story of climate change starts with a gas called carbon dioxide. Now, we all know that we breathe oxygen, but actually the air that we breathe is made up of lots of other gases. So we're surrounded by carbon dioxide. We're constantly interacting with it every time we breathe, not to mention the important role carbon dioxide plays in helping plants make food. But wait a minute. Carbon dioxide is actually less than 1% of the gases in our atmosphere. If we look at our handy pie chart here, we can see all of our gases are represented in this whole pie chart. And carbon dioxide actually represents even less than what that yellow sliver is, because it's mixed in with argon and water vapor. So if carbon dioxide is such a small part of our atmosphere, why is it such a big deal? And that gets into the greenhouse gas effect. Before we talk about greenhouse gases, we need to talk about climate. The Earth's climate is mainly powered by the sun, which showers the Earth with sunlight and energy, and the atmosphere absorbs it. It takes it in. And the rest of the sunlight actually strikes the Earth, and so like the land and the ocean absorbs that energy, and a little bit actually goes back to space. And the rest that doesn't go into outer space is actually absorbed by carbon dioxide. And what ends up happening is that the heat ends up being trapped in our atmosphere, creating a greenhouse effect, which if you think about a greenhouse, you have your greenhouse and the sunlight pours in through the windows, and inside you can grow plants in the wintertime because it stays nice and warm because the heat stays inside the greenhouse. Now, that's a good thing. We want plants to grow. But too much heat can be a bad thing. For instance, certain animals rely on a specific type of climate to survive. If we think about lizards or other reptiles or cold-blooded animals, they need a specific climate so that their body temperature stays that temperature. If we think about polar bears, well, polar bears depend on ice sheets to hunt and to live. And if those ice sheets have melted or if the temperature has changed, well, that destroys the polar bear's habitat, and they are not able to survive. So the question is, where is all the carbon dioxide coming from? Well, the simple answer to this question is that every time we use energy, every time we flick on a switch, a light switch, every time we get in a car to drive, that's burning something called fossil fuels. And when we burn those fossil fuels, it releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So it's having such a large impact on our world that we've gathered a group of scientists, biologists, climatologists, to document and tell their story about how climate change is impacting the world, weather patterns, and different kinds of animals. So you'll hear about wildfires, mudslides, ice storms, flamingos, coral reefs, and gray whales and narwhals. So without further ado, I introduce Ian, who's going to be speaking about wildfires.
Hello, my name is Ian and I am here to talk about wildfires. Wildfires are big fires that happen in dry places like California and Australia. Lightning causes wildfires and so do volcanoes. Things fire need are heat, fuel, and oxygen. And did you know that wildfires can travel as fast as 14 miles an hour? Fires can be unusual, but most of them are in dry and very hot places. For example, in fall in Southern California, Santa Ana gets a lot of wind from the desert and it's hot and dry, which is why there are so many wildfires. Really big wildfires need specially trained firefighters to fight them. One of the ways they do this is they use axes to make a ditch that is called a fire line. Some animals need protection from the fire, like turtles and frogs. Big animals like deer can't hide underground, so they usually run from the fire. But there is a catch. While the deer are running, hungry bobcats are waiting in the bushes to catch a yummy snack. There are more wildfires because of climate change, because the earth is warming up. Wildfires are in dry places, and right now there have been a lot of dry conditions. That's why they are happening a lot. And now Hayden is going to tell us about mudslides and why they happen more often.
Hi, my name is Hayden. I'm going to be talking about mudslides. You're probably thinking, what's a mudslide? It's when rain pours on a mountain that has a lot of dirt. It turns the dirt into mud, and it falls down the mountain. To know if a mudslide is coming, you will see cracks in places you've never seen them before. The mud is so strong that it can hit houses and pull them with it. Mudslides are so dangerous that they can pick up big boulders and can crush buildings. Every mudslide kills at least 10 people because the mud covers the people and they stand under the mud for at least 10 hours. In India, there was a heavy mudslide that took place in 2013. Now I'm going to talk about how climate change impacts mudslides. Mudslides are more likely to happen because of wildfires are more frequent. Wildfires are more common because the air is hotter and drier. When plants are all burned up, this hardens the soil so a mudslide can slide on the ground easier. Now my friend Chase is going to talk about ice storms.
Hi, my name is Chase and I'll be telling you about ice storms. Ice storms start from a ball of ice in the clouds that stick to other balls of ice until they are too heavy for the clouds to hold, so the ice drops. Then the ice falls through a layer of warm air that melts the ice into water, and then the water falls through a layer of cold air which almost freezes the ice, but the water doesn't. So the water waits until it hits the ground and then it freezes. Did you know that an ice storm in 2009 knocked out power for 1.3 million people from Arkansas to Ohio? A little coating of ice can make a terrible time to drive, and a larger coating of ice can break or damage trees and power lines. Did you also know that a half-inch of ice on power lines could add 500 pounds of extra weight? You might be wondering, what do ice storms have to do with climate change? Well, this is what they have to do with that. There are more ice storms in the winter because the sea ice is melting, which leads to higher sea levels and more water vapor in the atmosphere, leading to rain and ice storms. Now Delilah will be telling you about coral reefs and how they are impacted by climate change.
Hi, my name is Lila, and I'm going to be telling you about coral reefs. Corals are tiny animals called polyps, and polyps are hollow. They host a special kind of algae that lives inside the polyp. The algae is protected by the corals. The algae makes energy from the sun so the coral can eat. The polyps and algae take calcium and seawater, and they make limestone. A coral reef is a limestone skeleton covered in a tiny layer of living coral. If it's too hot, it bleaches coral and it gets sick. This is making lots of coral die. This is called coral bleaching. It can physically melt corals. The Great Barrier Reef has lost half of its coral in 27 years, and it's expected to lose half of what's left in 2020. Please, help us save the coral reefs. And now, Autumn is going to tell us about narwhals and how they are impacted by climate change. Hello, my name is Autumn, and today I'll be telling you a little bit about narwhals and how they're impacted by climate change. Did you know that there's only 70,000 left on the whole entire Earth? They use their tooth/horn to knock and stun their prey before they eat it so it doesn't wiggle around. Their predators are polar bears and orcas. They will tear you apart if you were a narwhal. They are 17 feet from tip of the horn to the tail. The horn is a pale color, and it is strong enough that it can break through ice. It's actually a tooth that comes out of the narwhal's mouth. Narwhals are hunted because its horn is made out of ivory, and it's legal to hunt narwhals in Canada. Now I'm going to tell you how climate change impacts narwhals. So the sea ice is important to the narwhal because it depends on their food web. If there's less sea ice, there's less food for the narwhals. And in the last 40 years, the sea ice has declined 11% in the narwhal's habitat. The sea ice loss may change how narwhals migrate, eat, and have babies. So please help us save the narwhals. Next up is Samantha. She's going to be talking about gray whales and how they're impacted by climate change.
Hello, my name is Samantha, and do you know there are less than 1,000 gray whales left on Earth? Well, now you do. Gray whales eat 2,400 pounds of shrimp, krill, and schooling fish. Now, you're probably thinking, schooling fish? Dude, it's school of fish, not schooling fish. Well, we're both right there. Because schooling fish is a group of fish already formed, but schooling fish is fish forming into a group. Whales can hold their breath for 20 to 30 minutes. They can go 200 feet underwater. Since gray whales eat 2,400 pounds a day, they weigh around 14,000 to 77,000 pounds. And they are 43 to 49 feet long, or if you prefer, 13 to 15 meters long. Gray whales are dying because the sea ice is melting, therefore it's killing off the food, or their food is moving away, so they don't have enough food to survive their migration. Now our friend Kate here will be telling you about how climate change impacts flamingos.
Hi, my name is Kate and I'll be telling you about flamingos. Flamingos live in warm water in wetlands. The closest relative to the greater flamingo is the Chilean flamingo. It lives in South America. Bald eagle is a predator to the greater flamingo. He or she normally feeds on flamingo chicks while parents are feeding. A group of flamingos is called a colony, stand, or pack. Now Adele is going to tell you how flamingos are impacted by climate change. Hello, my name is Adele and I'll be telling you about how the greater flamingo is affected by climate change. Flamingos are now being forced to migrate because of climate change. The reason they are being forced to migrate is because the wetlands are flooding and their homes are being destroyed. Wetlands are areas that have water covering the surface. There are ways to protect our wetlands. People are making more wetlands because we want to reduce all the pollution we have been making. In the wetlands, the water doesn't just get drained to the lake bottom, but it goes to other lakes and rivers. Millions of wetlands have helped to prevent floods by when there is a lot of water to suck it up with the soil, just like the soil in the wetlands sucks up any puddles. Wetlands can also help prevent large-scale damage. There are about 370 birds, including flamingos, in the wetlands. More than 1 billion people depend on our wetlands for food and water. Bogs, marshes, mangroves, paddy fields, swamps, and more have a need for food and water too.
Thank you for watching our video. Together we can fight